Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In our previous video, we saw how to set up PyCharm and how to create a new project and run a sample program. From this video, let's see about all the Python basic stuffs. All right. So in this video, we'll speak about Python variables. So to start with, first we'll try to understand the rules for creating variable names. Okay. So a variable name must start with a letter or an underscore character. A variable name cannot start with a number. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore, like starting from A to Z, 0 to 9 and underscore. And obviously variable names are case sensitive in Python. If you see all these three examples, like Python in small case, Python with P, capital letter, capital P is it. This is a different variable, and all variables with a capital letter is a different variable. So variable names in Python is case sensitive. That is something you should keep in mind. So I have listed down few of valid and invalid variables here. Like how should it? So these are few combinations of valid variables, and these are few combinations of invalid variables. So yeah, this is what rules for creating variable names. So since this is pretty straightforward, I'm not gonna spend much time on it. So let's jump on to the next section. So there are different ways on how we can create variables. Okay, so you can just declare a basic name like X, Y, Z, whatever, a basic name in a single character or multiple characters. So, but whenever if you want to create something in a meaningful name, right? So generally in a real-time projects and all, if you want to create variables in a meaningful name, you will generally have like two or three characters or some multiple values, multiple strings, right? So in that situation, as a best practice, you can start declaring variable names in these formats, like in camel case. So M starts with small and all the meaningful names starts with a capital letter. So here V starts with capital and N starts with capital. So I have assigned a value called Python, string Python into this particular variable name. Okay, so this is one type of creating variable name in a camel case. Next is Pascal case. So in Pascal case, if you see all the characters at the beginning of the meaningful name is with capital letter. So the only difference here is even the first character is in capital. So my M is in capital, V is in capital, N is in capital. So this is another way of creating a meaningful variable name. And then next one is snake case, like where you can separate it by underscore. You can separate the meaningful names under using underscore. Okay, so these are different ways on how you can create variables. So next, continuing on with the previous topic, like how to the different ways of creating variables. So let's try to understand few other alternative ways as well. So one value to multiple variables. So in this example, I have given all the values like x, y, z is equal to Python. So all these variables is assigned to all these variable names is assigned to value Python. Okay, okay, in order to demonstrate it better, let me open PyCharm and show you how this behaves. Where is my PyCharm? So I'm just opening my PyCharm community edition. So if you need to know how to create a new project in PyCharm, you can refer to my previous video. I have spoken about how to create a sample project in PyCharm. So let me create it from scratch again. So Python variables. Python variables. I'm just creating a new project. Yes, I'm clicking on create. So it is taking some time to create the virtual environment. So let me wait for a minute. Meanwhile, the project is getting created. So I will speak about other values as other types of creating variables. So here first option is like one value to multiple variables. So I have assigned a single value Python to XYZ. Whereas in another type, I have assigned many values to multiple variables. So if you see, I have X, Y, Z, which is assigned to Python, Java, and Scala. So X assigned to Python, Y to Java, Z to Scala respectively. So, so this is another way of creating variables. And another way is like you can unpack a collection. So consider you have a tuple or a list of something of that category. You can actually split that into a meaningful variable. So here I have a list called programming, so which has values Python, Java, and Scala. Whereas I'm just assigning two individual variables like x, y, z into the list name. What it happens is it will display me. So now x is assigned to Python, y is assigned to Java, z is assigned to Scala. So let's see this by running it, okay, so that you will have a better understanding. So I'm going to create a sample Python file. Mm, Python file, variables. I'm just creating variables. Right. So let me try to see the first example, x equal to y equal to z. If I try to run this, so, so now if I try to print the value of x, you can see it prints Python. Again, if I try to print the value y, it will print Python. If I try to print the value az, try to print Python. So all the variables is now assigned to a single value called Python. So this is the first way of creating variable, assigning variables. So another next type is many values to multiple variables. So here let me try to print x. So x is now assigned to Python. And let me print y. Y is assigned to Java. Print z. Now it is assigned to Scala. So this is another type of creating and assigning variables. Okay. Next type is we spoke about unpacking a collection. So let me try to, so yeah, now let me try to print x. So now what happened is there's a list called programming. So I have assigned the list to three different variables x, y, and z. So now if I print x and y, now it will print Python, Java, and Scala. Yes, so this is another way of creating variables where you can unpack a collection and assign it to few variables. So so this is so this is an these are another type ways of creating and assigning variables. Okay, now let's jump on to next one. So I have a new topic called output variables. What I mean by output variables is you can call that particular string or a particular variable into your print statement by using a plus operator. So let me show this. So show this with an example. So I have a value called x equal to programming. So I have created a variable x equal to programming, and one I have so next time what I'm trying to do is I want to use this variable to be printed. So I want to call this in my print statement. So what I did is I have just written print. I have just declare a string called Python, and I've called the another variable plus x. So now it will print Python programming for me. So let me run and show this. Now if you see, the output is Python programming. So it called the variable x using plus addition of plus operator within the print statement. Okay, so this is how you can print output variable. And another next type is like combining the adding two variables, or combining two variables. So here I have two variables called x and y. So I have two variables called x and y. X as value Python, y as programming, y as value programming. So now I'm just combining these two variables using z equal to x plus y. Now let me run this. So it will print me Python programming. Sorry, let me print it. Now if I print the value z, it will print me Python programming. Okay, so as simple as that. So this is how you can combine multiple variables, right? Now let me jump on to next topic, just nothing but local variables. So local variables are nothing but a variable that is declared inside a function. So let me speak in detail about function in my upcoming videos. But if you see the syntax, the function is declared using def. So my function is the function name. So I'm gonna, so let me show it here. So my function is the function name. So within this function I have declared a new variable called x equal to programming. So here this is a local variable. So that local variable can be used uh, only within the function. Now that means, so here inside my print statement I've used that local variable called x. Now let me run and show this. So it printed me Python program. Let me try to call the value x outside of the function. It told me error because it shows me name error, name x is not defined. The reason is because the value x is the variable x is actually a local variable of this function, so I will not be able to use it outside of the function. This is what you this is how you use local variables. Okay, now let's jump on to another concept called global variables. Okay, global variables are nothing but are these are where type of variable which are declared outside of the function. Here in our local variables we saw how to use local variables inside a function. Okay, but if the same variable is declared outside of the function, it is called global variables. So generally global variables, when do you use global variable is because if you want to use it outside of the function, then you generally use global variables. Okay, so here in this example, to depict the usage of global variables, I have declared x equal to programming variable outside of my function. So that's why now I have used it out. I have declared it outside of my function, but I'm calling that value here inside my function. So print Python programming. So this is another way of creating variables. So this concept is called global variable concept. And in another, I can show you another example. So here in this example, I have declared a global variable outside of my function x equal to program. This is my global variable. But if you see inside my function, I have declared a local variable with the same variable name. Okay, so x is my global variable. X equal to program is my global variable, whereas x I have declared another local variable with the same variable name x. So I am using this. So Python has the capability to differentiate based on the usage of this variable. Like if you declare it inside, it is called local. If you declare it outside, it is called global. So I'm calling this x here within my function. So print Python is x here. Again, I'm using the Python. I'm using the variable x to be called outside of the function. So in this situation, what happens is this variable name x equal to programming will be printed here. In my first print statement, it will print Python is programming. In the last in the seventh line, it will print Python is program. It will take the global variable. Okay, let me run and show this to you. Yeah, if you see first statement printed Python is programming, second is Python of programming. So basically, just to recap, this example shows you how to use both local and global variable in the same with the same variable name. Okay, so this is another type. And another type of using global variable, another type of declaring global variable is using a global keyword. Okay, so if you want to use a function, if you want to use a variable within the function, so in our previous example we saw how to declare a variable outside the function. So that's one way of creating global variable. But what if you want to declare a global variable inside the function? In that situation you can use something called global keyword. So if you see, I have declared a function here, and I've used a keyword called global. So global x is my variable name, so I have declared x equal to programming. But if you keenly note, I have declared this global keyword inside my function, but I am calling it outside of my function. So in this situation it will definitely work because I have used a global keyword here. Right, so whenever you use this keyword inside the function, it will be able to access throughout the program, which is outside of the function also you can use it. So this is another way of using global variables. Right, so last topic is deleting a variable. Okay, so uh, I would generally know in the programming world, I would say people know actually forget to delete a variable whenever it is no longer in use. So that's why I just want to touch on this topic. Reason is because it is actually very important, and as a best practice for a programmer, you need to delete a variable if it is no longer used. So I generally know most of the programmers these days do not use this concept because uh, uh, they do not worry about it. But generally, from a performance front, this when you delete a variable, the memory is freed, and you have more capability in your RAM to actually uh, to run the next sequence of your programs. Okay, so it is really important to use this delete variable. So so delete keyword to delete a variable. So here if you see, I have declared a variable called x equal to python, and I am just printing it. I'm just trying to print that statement. Now I'm deleting it, and I'm trying to print it again. So okay, let me remove my delete statement. So now I'm just declared a variable and I'm just printing it. Now if you see, it printed Python for me. Next step is I'm just deleting that variable and trying to print it again. So now it showed me error called name error, x is not defined, because the variable is no longer available because I have deleted it. So this is using this delete keyword to delete the variable is something very important, I would say. People, as a best practice, people do not follow this much frequently, but I would suggest you to use this concept wherever possible, because it actually frees up your memory and provides more RAM capability to run your next sequence of programs. Okay, so yeah, that's all what I want to cover as part of this variables Python beginner tutorial. In case if you have any queries, please post it into the comment section. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.